I got 3 of you guys up here. I'm gonna get the other 2. Then I'm gonna pick someone out of the audience, and they're gonna pick the cards to see the order you guys go. Okay? Here's cards with everybody's names. As soon as we get Anna up here, we'll have someone pick it out, and this will be the order you talk in. You introduce yourself, and you close on the end. When everything's done, we're a little bit late. We're going to leave it open. If you guys want to mingle around, it'll be open until 8 o'clock. Okay? You can sit anywhere. Doesn't matter what side you're on. Okay, let's get... Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to turn a card over, and this is the order the candidates will speak in.
Okay.
So pick one at a time. So first is going to be Anna. Everything's going to stay the same. It's going to be the same order. Yeah, it's going to be the same. Okay, 2. Okay. You want to go 1, then 2, then 2's first, then 3's first? Okay, we'll do that. That's fine. You know that. So that's the second.
Testing. Tell me why I shouldn't be scared. Breathing as much as we can.
Okay, we're going to get going in a couple seconds, so if everybody can take a seat, we'd appreciate it.
Hello, hello.
Like this? Talking right like
Yes,
this?
They're on. Hello? Am I able to lift it up to talk? Like if I want to stand? Yeah, if I want to stand? How do you grab it? Oh, the whole thing. Okay.
You have to write your question out, put it in the bag, they're going to screen it. Not everybody's question will be answered. We'll have enough time for it.
I'm third, but they're changing it up every question. So,
You'll be up more. Is this the start? A lot of questions, huh? A lot of questions, huh? All right, so we're going to get going right now. I'm going to turn it over to Principal Ronnie Faison here at St. Francis, who's turned the school around. It's unbelievable. A couple of years ago, this school had about 40 kids in it. They're up to about 150 right now. Hopefully they're over 200 next year, so she's done a great job. And, you know, one other thing I'll say before she comes up is, for people associated with St. Francis, we lost a guy today, Jim Kelly, who's been at school. I went to school here, graduated in '84. His first year at the school was '83, and I think he retired 2 years ago. But we lost him this morning, so keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Now I'm going to turn it over to the best principal on the south side of Chicago, Ronnie Faison.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Ronnie Faison. I'm the principal and CEO of St. Francis de Sales High School, also a proud alum, also a resident of South Chicago, so this is home through and through. I'm so happy that St. Francis could host. We have a 136-year history on the southeast side, and I want 136 years more at St. Francis de Sales and continuing the legacy here. When I was asked to host, it was a simple yes for me. I want us to be a place where the community can come and do work together, right? We move about 35,000 pounds of food with the Chicago Food Depository every third Saturday, every month. We became, and we get over 300 people that come and get things that they need from us. Also, we became a donation center, so we're getting brand new clothes from big box stores that then are bringing in, so about 9 pallets that my kids are working through to give back to the community. So a lot of our work is community-based, so that's why we're having it here today, and I'm really blessed to have everyone here. I'd like to take a minute to recognize some people in the room that are here to support us. Firstly, Alderwoman Garza, thank you for your service and everything that you've done for our community over the years. Southeast side is a tough place to work, baby. So I give you all the credit in the world, and these candidates all the credit in the world for coming up here and choosing to represent our community in this way. Our CPD, right? We're so grateful for the work that you do on the southeast side, specifically with St. Francis de Sales. You look out for us. Anytime I call, you're here. Anytime I ask for something, I can't tell you enough times that we've needed you and you've come without questions asked. And not because something bad was happening, but because we needed support and you were here. And that I feel super blessed for. The Hegewisch Business Association and the Eastside Chamber, we're so thankful that you decided to work with us to do this event tonight, and that you're holding this as a way for us to hear all the platforms that are being addressed tonight. And thank you to each of you for coming tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to come and support our community. We need you to do it more often, and then look for opportunities to grow. I think there's a narrative about the Southeast Side that isn't correct, and we have to change that narrative if we want change on this part of town. So I implore you to continue that work. So without further ado, you have 5 amazing candidates that are going to talk about their work on the Southeast Side and what they, the platforms that they currently stand on. So I'll turn it over to Anna, and she'll introduce herself as well as the other candidates.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. My name's Ana Guajardo. I'm so sorry. My name's Ana Guajardo. I want to first thank St. Francis de Sales for hosting this event, Business Hegewisch Association, Eastside Chamber of Commerce, among others who have put this together. As a mother of 2 daughters that attend CPS schools, I will ensure that we have safe neighborhoods and that our schools are fully funded with librarians, counselors, small classroom sizes, and nurses. Public safety is a must. We need to ensure that our community feels safe, that our business district is able to have residents, consumers, walking down the business corridor without fear. I have a proven track record for the past 20 years of bringing resources to our community. Out of those 20 years, 16 here in the 10th Ward. I brought the Paramentor program, which works with 6 schools in the 10th Ward, where we teach moms and dads to get involved in the schools, where they assist the teachers with meeting the children's needs. And this program alone, in these 6 schools in the 10th Ward, has brought over $500,000 to our community. I am a former co-founder of Centro de Trabajadores Unidos United Worker Center, an organization that has been advocating for the rights of workers here in the 10th Ward. And during my time in the organization, I was able to incubate 2 worker cooperatives, which are small businesses here in the 10th Ward. And we are in the process of launching 3 more worker co-ops, small businesses here in our community. I thank all of you for being here. I am grateful for the support of our current Alderwoman Susan Sadowski Garza, who has endorsed my campaign, Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia, who has also endorsed the campaign, as well as 25+ unions, including the CFL, Chicago Federation of Labor, the steel workers, iron workers, and thank you so much, and looking forward to our conversation. Sorry, I didn't see them.
Oscar Sanchez.
Oh, perfect. Can everybody hear me? Perfect, that's loud. Ooh. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oscar Sanchez, a community organizer running to be your next 10th Ward alderperson, because I want to strengthen our community. And this can only be done by investing in our community. I want us to imagine, what does real investment look like? Because we've experienced disinvestment. We've experienced the way that increases violence in our communities. And I want us to imagine not being afraid to go outside. Imagine what would it be like, because our families work so hard to worry about their child coming home safe. As an anti-violence coordinator, I had youth calling me about their experience of gun violence. And I had one of them call me right after they witnessed one of their friends being shot in front of them. That is unacceptable. And I know we can all agree that the 10th Ward deserves better. And that is why I'm running. Because I want us to imagine, what could this possibly look like for us? And we know this. We experience this. We know the difference. You feel it, you see it, and sometimes you can even smell the difference in the air. When it comes to the 10th Ward, I want this to be the destination where people come here to shop. And not only for us to have public transportation, for us to be connected to the city, but to the city experience this beautiful area. And we can accomplish this with my background in anti-violence, public health, and urban planning. We can accomplish so much as a community together because our community should be making decisions. And my brother asked me one day, does the city really not care about us? Because we see this with our experiences every single day. So we're here to do a difference. So thank you for having us today.
Jessica Venegas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for taking the time to come out to hear from all of us tonight. Thank you, HBA and Eastside Chamber for putting this together, and St. Francis Principal for hosting us. I just want to let you guys know what my idea for a better 10th Ward requires. We need more police here in our 10th Ward. So I want to advocate at City Hall to get an increase in our budget so we can have more police here. I also want to advocate for policies that support our police. I completely agree that we want a safer 10th Ward, but in order to do that, we need to support our police. They're out there risking their lives. We're out there risking our lives. I'm a police officer too. I'm an attorney as well. But we risk our lives, and now there's other damages that could happen to us besides just our lives. We lose our livelihoods now because there's lack of support for the police in this day and age. And we need to bring back the support for police. On top of that, we need programs for our kids. We need to have these kids in programs that give them better, positive activities in their lives. We're not just talking about children, young children, great. They should have positive mentors, positive activities. I also mean young adults. I want to bring programs for our young adults so we can help guide them to having positive futures so that they're not deciding to go and start committing crimes and thinking that it's okay to commit crimes in their lives. We need these programs to teach them and guide them into better futures for themselves. Maybe we would love for them to go to college if they can, but college isn't always the answer for everybody. So we want to have these young adults have options, trade schools, working, and the bottom line is getting these programs that teach them a great work ethic. I also want to help the businesses. Obviously, we want to have our businesses thrive. And one of those things, the functions to help with that is beautification. We need to build the beauty back in the 10th Ward. So we're going to work on the budget for that. Thank you so much for your time again. Jessica Venegas.
Peter Chico.
Hello, my name is Pete Chico. Obviously, I'm running for 10th Ward Alderman. This position is such an important position, and it's important that you know if your alderman has the experience and the knowledge to do the job. When I graduated college from Benedictine with my undergrad in political science, I made a commitment to myself. That commitment was I wanted to help people. I didn't care how or who, I just wanted to help. The first thing I did, my first job out of college, working at United Way, working for families and communities who needed funding the most. From there, I moved on to child welfare services. I worked at a children's shelter through Maryville Academy. After that, I became a caseworker to 20 DCFS children through Volunteers of America. After my time at the nonprofits, I transitioned into law enforcement. I did 5.5 years at the Cook County Sheriff's Department, but it was at that point in my life I realized I wanted to come back home. I wanted to do something for the community I grew up in and loved the most. I applied to the Chicago Police Department, got in. Shortly thereafter, I came back to the 4th District. While in the 4th District, working every shift in multiple capacities, I saw the need and the problems we have and we need to tackle. So I said to myself, I need to get more involved. I have to do more. I ran for local school council at Washington High School 4 years ago. I've been on the board ever since. I'm a proud member of the Hegewisch Bulldogs football organization, where I've been serving on their board for the last 2 years. I know what it takes. I have the experience since the day I stepped out of college, and I cannot wait to take that experience and serve you, the residents of the 10th Ward. Thank you.
Yesenia Carrillo.
I don't want to mess with the mic, or Mikey's going to come after me. My name is Yesenia Carrion. I, just like every candidate here, is looking to run for 10th Ward Alderman. Most of you know me through my tenure with a previous administration, John A. Pope, and a lot of you know me through my business, ONT Media. I am running because I have a passion and love for this community. I have been working continuously with the community, with the 10th Ward, with the area for over 16 years, and I want to continue doing that. I know I have a lot to offer. I believe that our biggest issues, just like a lot of the candidates here mentioned, is economic development. We need to bring economic development to our area, and safety is a priority as well. I believe that when you fix the economic development issue, the safety issue gets resolved as well. It goes hand in hand, and that's what I bring to the table. I bring experience. I bring 9 years of experience working for an alderman's office, where I was lucky enough to have a leader that empowered us not only to learn about the projects and learn about the process, but be hands-on, starting from the concept to the shovel in the ground to the ribbon cutting. We were hands-on through the process as far as setting up those meetings with the departments, doing all the legislative work. So I would be ready to work day one because I know what it takes to work in that office. I know what we need to do to get started. I will not need to learn the ropes. I'm ready to work day one. And I guarantee you that if I'm elected, year one, we will see progress, we will see development, we will have a pen and pace, and we will see the fruitions of that in year two. And that is what I offer, experience. I have a passion for this community. Again, I have been here for the past 16 years. Even after we were voted out of office, I continue working with the community. And no matter what happens here, I will guarantee you that I will continue working for our community that I have a passion for and love for. Thank you.
I'm going to start with the questions. My name is Brenda Kubas. I am the founder of the Hegewisch Community Watch Association and also the treasurer for the Hegewisch Business Association. I've been a resident on the South Side for 36 years and hopefully continue to do so for the future. I'd like to also thank you for attending. I'm going to ask questions that the attendees have put in this bucket here, randomly pulled. But I also have questions that are coming from our business community. So I'm going to try to alternate that just to let you know why I'm not picking the next question. First question. What is your position on the Safety Act? Ana Boardo.
Okay. I would love to do more research to be more familiar in terms of the actual act and what the proposal is. However, having lived here in the community and having daughters who go to school and are constantly afraid sometimes to be alone, safety is tremendous. It's something important. A few blocks away from our house a few weeks ago, one of my daughter's friends, a bullet passed her head, and luckily she did not get shot. There's a few ideas, proposals that I'm looking to introduce. that could also support public safety issues. We understand that we have police officers in our district who are trying to do their part. However, there are a few things that we can work on. We need dedicated patrol units, and we need to ensure there are fire trucks in the 10th ward. Several of our police officers and firefighters, first responders, are pulled out of our ward. So when we have situations of violence in our community, they're not here to be called. We need to ensure that we hire more detectives to remove the clearance rate. So when crimes are committed, that we can ensure that these crimes are solved. That will help bridge the gap between the concerns that our residents have and the police. We also need to invest in officer wellness. There are several police officers who are working 29 to 30 hours, 29 to 30 days without a day off. We need to make sure that these police officers are able to get the rest that they need, but also because it's important for the well-being of our community. And then we need to make sure that we respond to emergencies with appropriate services. For example, when there are mental health crises, that we have a mental health professional that goes in response to these services. I know that the 4th District has been putting together a pilot program for domestic violence where there are officers who have been trained to respond when there are needs. That's a program that I would love to get more involved with and see how we can incorporate that and pass that word out throughout the ward.
Thank you, Anna. Oscar Sanchez.
So when it comes to the SAFETY Act, I think this is a perfect example of how we want to be leading with our community about creating awareness about different acts happening at the city, local, and state level, really introducing ways to keep our community safe. Specifically in the bill, a lot of many community members are concerned specifically of how it keeps communities safe. And what this bill or this act really does is looking to really engage community members to have access to being released from jail on cash bail. Now, there are many concerns of who is being able to be released on cash bail. And for me, again, that's the most important part and key to this when we have co-governance is being able to sit down with community members and being able to talk about what this act actually entails. On top of the cash bail, it also talks about criminal justice reform and really having opportunities for people who have been previously incarcerated as well on top of this police accountability. With this, we also understand that our police departments are overly burdened right now, understanding that there's high suicide rates. And if our community doesn't have mental health clinics to take care of our police officers, then we're doing a disservice to them and also to our community who are facing these mental health challenges. We know who has mental health challenges here. We know who has schizophrenia and goes around 106, who goes down Commercial Avenue. And we know that this has also been a crisis with our homeless community, that with the Rahm administration closed down mental health clinics, a lot of people deserted afterwards. So it's about actually addressing what's happening in our communities and being upfront and addressing these root issues that are caused. So alongside that, just want to really emphasize about how we want to work with our community to be able to create awareness of what's happening. And if it's not something meant for our community, when it comes to anything, being able to have a discussion of how we remove these acts.
Thank you, Oscar. Jessica Venegas?
As it is written, I do not agree with the SAFETY Act. I will say that. I do understand the purpose behind it is that there's the reason that people are committing crimes, that they've had bad luck in life. I understand that. I do believe that we want programs to assist these people in making better choices. However, if you start to take away consequences for crimes, the only thing that does is encourages people to commit more crimes and encourages others to start committing crimes.
Thank you, Jessica. Peter Chico?
When it comes to the SAFETY Act, there are certain provisions in it that I don't agree with and some that I do. When it comes to body cameras, having everybody by 2025, every police officer in the state of Illinois wearing one, I agree with it. It's accountability, and I think the police officers, me being one, and I see my friends here, they like it. They like that they could be held accountable, and they like that they know what they're doing is right. That's number one. Number two, another thing something I don't agree with, is when we're using the body cameras, we can't go back and review them. They stripped that opportunity from us, so we can't go back and review a situation to properly document our paperwork. I think that's wrong. When it comes to cashless bail, I do agree. We shouldn't be incarcerating people for low-level offenses. However, that does empower them, like Jessica was saying, to commit the same crime. We need to get to the root cause of the problem and figure out what is going on here so they don't keep committing the same crimes over and over and over again. But at the end of the day, it's the Safety Act. Do you feel any safe right now? Do you feel any safe in the last 3 years? I don't think so. Is this act going to make us any safer? I don't think so either. So we need to look at it, replace provisions in it, and correct it.
Thank you, Peter. Yesenia, go.
So, like the other candidates mentioned, I do believe the Safety Act has its pros and cons. I think that one of the biggest priorities that we need to look at is we need to ensure that we have restorative programs for individuals that are committing these crimes. A lot of them are miscellaneous that can be that you can still save these individuals, I believe. There can be programs where we address the mental health issues, address the environment that they're in. But again, with the safety, we need to look at the reason why these crimes are taking place. And one of the things is, there is a reason why areas are being targeted, and that's what we need to figure out. And because if we don't figure that out, we're not going to be able to rid of the violence. So that's a main priority, I believe.
Thank you, Yesenia. Next question. How do you help small businesses navigate the business licensing process? Anna? Absolutely. How do you help small businesses navigate the business licensing process?
Did you say how do you?
Same order. Anna?
No, actually, it's going to go to the. So Anna will now go last this next round, and it'll start with Oscar. Anna will go last.
So whoever I started with
So the
first, I
second
start with
person will
last.
go next.
Okay, that's not how it was explained to me, but I'll go with it. Okay.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. How do you help small businesses navigate the business licensing process?
So I think we can all agree that, and we have to really exemplify this, that small businesses are going to be the backbone of our economy here, because we've lost our power engines here. And it's about how we can really be navigating, creating a new economy, being innovative right now. So for me, how would we be supporting our small businesses is making sure that we can set up actual workshops for that licensing, but also, I think we see that all over the Facebook pages, a lot of businesses also have questions over their taxes. So it's also setting up our businesses for success. And right now, there's available funding through the Chicago Recovery Plan to really be helping and supporting our local entrepreneurs and small businesses. And additionally, it's about looking at new methods of co-ops, of saying if there's 3 similar businesses, why don't we put them in one brick and mortar? And there's available funding right now through the Chicago Recovery Plan. Like, you can look this up right now, and there's fundings that anyone can be applying to, and we can be doing it as constituent service to be helping our businesses. And even looking at more innovative ways, because we want a successful business district, but it's making people also feel welcomed here and safe here and attracted it. Something that's really important is how we beautify our community and uplift our local artists for them to be able to be applying to DCASE art grants. So we can be doing all revolving, all encompassing way of uplifting our local economy.
Thank you, Oscar. Jessica?
So, with small business owners, I mean, as an alderman, I would want to have my office available for all the residents and have access to working with the community in all manners. As far as small businesses, I would want to we can have workshops. I can navigate through systems, having them navigate through the licensing, sitting down with them, setting up appointments, working with them on licensing. I am an attorney. I understand how to navigate systems. I understand how to find resources, and I would definitely want to help our small businesses navigate through filling out the forms, learning where to turn them in, understanding what requirements need to be met. All of those little steps that need to be met for them to complete their licensing, I would want to help them navigate in that way, if I can, step by step. If not, I would have resources in my office to help the businesses, because it is important to get these businesses started and encourage them to come to our community. Thank you.
Peter?
So we know, if you're a business owner, how difficult it can be sometimes to deal with licenses and permits. We know that. Sometimes permits sit on somebody's table 6, 7, 8 months sometimes. That's unacceptable. The alderman's office needs to be that hub that connects the prospective business owner or the business owner with BACP or the small business center from the city. That's what the alderman's office needs to do. We don't want to deter any businesses from coming here or provide any obstacles. So it is key that the alderman's office provides that safe way to businesses to make that connection, so we could bring the businesses here and give the options to the residents that they deserve. Thank you.
Yesenia?
As a business owner myself, I am very familiar with the crazy and long application process that the city of Chicago puts you through. It is a lot of hoops that you have to go through, and I'm very familiar with those hoops, because while working at Alderman John Pope's office, we sat down with these businesses before they even purchase property, because guess what? That's where the problem begins. A lot of these business owners purchase a property and are not sure or are not aware of the zoning. And once they purchase that property or they sign that lease and they go apply for that application, guess what? That zoning does not fit for their business. So I believe it starts from the beginning, and it's educating our community, having that information out there. I have personally ran at least 5 business workshops throughout the years, helping businesses start their businesses from beginning, from concept, until they open their doors. We brought in the first business incubator to South Chicago back in 2016, where we helped agencies like Ayala Agency start up their business, and we're able to see them go into their own brick and mortar. So I am very familiar with the business application process. I believe that we need to have hands-on, provide hands-on help for these constituents that are looking to open businesses, and educate them on what can and can't be done in certain areas in the community, and what they need to do if they need a zoning change. So again, from day one, I'm familiar on the steps that need to take place to get this going.
Anna?
As Yesenia mentioned, also from experience incubating 2 small businesses in the 10th Ward, Cooperativa Visionarias and Mujeres Brillantes, we have seen how difficult it is in the city of Chicago to even understand what a worker co-op is, which is a small business. We moved state legislation in Springfield to have worker co-ops be recognized, and they can have the same rights as a regular small business. Few things that come to mind. First is we have to have an understanding of what are the needs of the businesses, have a one-on-one conversations with them, get a better understanding. Second, provide them the information and guide them through the process. It's not just about providing the information and go to the city of Chicago. We did that with our co-op. And the city of Chicago was unable to help them or even understand what exactly they were trying to do. So it's important to have an understanding, guide them as well. And a few other things, policy. Sometimes the policies that we have are not enough. So we need to make sure that we're able to have an understanding, create a proposal, and be able to move policies that will be beneficial for our small businesses. Relationships. I sit in the Social Innovation Commission. I also sit in the City of Chicago Council, as well as other groups where we're also looking at how we support businesses. We have to have an understanding and relationships in these departments. DCO, we're building a community center on 9805 South Ewing. We were able to get a capital grant as a not-for-profit. And in this building, we're gonna actually create an incubator where we're gonna be able to launch small businesses. So those 3 businesses are gonna be launching soon, will be coming out of our Workers Center. But it's important to have these relationships with these departments so we can be able to assist these small businesses so they can thrive in our community. Thank you.
What would you change about the city budget?
I don't know if I have enough time for that one. I agree with you, sir.
Jessica.
Wow. Okay. Well, as I said, with city budget, we need a budget that supports our police. We need more safety, so we definitely need to increase the police budget for the schools. I would also work on increasing the budget with regards to our schools. We need better schools in our 10th ward. I know that we have some schools that are, the facilities are falling apart. I know there's overcrowding situations. We need to budget, work with CPS budget, work with everything there to rectify that situation. There's budgeting for fixing our streets, just simply fixing our streets in our neighborhoods. Those streets, fixing them is big. I mean, people might not think that's as important as it is, but it is. What our neighborhood looks like physically is important, and I think we need to allocate some funds there as well. I also, obviously, education is important. We want to allocate budgeting for more supplies for our teachers. We have a lot of teachers doing a great job with CPS, but we need to get some funding for the 10th ward area. Needs electronics. They're very behind on the iPads, the things that other parts of the city have. And as a matter of fact, I would say, as far as fixing the budget, I would work on increasing the budget for the 10th ward as a whole. We need to stop being neglected as a whole. So that's, in a nutshell, for a big question.
Peter?
I think when it comes to the budget, we have to put our money where our mouth is. We look at schooling. If you go around the 10th ward, we have overcrowding in nearly every school. A parent from Grissom reached out to me about a month ago and wanted me to come to the LSC meeting. I went, met with the principal. They said, look, we have overcrowding. It's been overcrowding here for years. They give us these mobile units, expect our children to learn here. We need an annex. We need to build so they could flourish and really understand what's going on in the classroom. And I agree with that. These mobile units that are popping up all over, that's not encouraging students to learn. That's number one when it comes to education. Number two, when it comes to crime prevention, the last budget had $85 million allocated to crime prevention. That's a great thing. But when only $5 million spent, how are we supposed to see any type of decrease in crime prevention, in gun prevention, if they're only spending that? That doesn't make any sense to me. And when it does come to the police, I know our budget is large. I can acknowledge that. But safety is the number one issue. We need to hire more police, put them on the street. So what happened in Vets Park the other day doesn't happen. Or what happened in Hegewisch this morning with cars being broken into doesn't happen. We need to put our money where our mouth is and secure the safety of our residents, educate our students, and bring it back to the neighborhoods.
Yesenia.
As far as the city budget changes, yeah, I would definitely want to put more money, like mentioned, into our schooling, safety, policing, all of that. I actually want to talk about what changes I would do locally with the money that's coming into the 10th Ward now. We have hundreds of thousands of dollars that come in to the South Chicago area yearly. And the first change that I would do is look at those funds and see exactly where they're going, because I'm sure that a lot of those dollars are not going to what they need to be doing. That money is supposed to be to beautify our Commercial Avenue Business District, to beautify our businesses, keep our streets clean. And I'm sorry, but the last time I went down Commercial Avenue, I didn't see any of that. So the first thing would be to start looking at the misuse of those funds and clean that up, because there's monies that are there, but they're not being used how they're supposed to be used. So let's start there.
Anna?
I think it's very important to understand how the budget works in City Council. The mayor proposes a budget with the support of possibly a few aldermen. Why is it that the mayor is able to come up with a budget proposal without the input of the rest of us who live in the ward? So understanding that budget process and letting it be transparent is important for us. Second is to provide input from the community. The way I've done my organizing the last 15, 16 years is to get input from our leaders, what's important for us to do as an organization. I hope to hear from our constituents what's important for you and what should we be focusing. There is no reason why the menu money that provides $1.5 million to our ward is enough. It's not. Why should the North Siders be receiving more funding than us here in the 10th Ward when we are the largest ward in the entire city of Chicago? We are the one that borders the state of Indiana. We have rail, we have water, we have land. So having that understanding, being transparent, having community input, and I love the idea of participatory budgeting, getting input from our community to make sure that we come up with a proposal and be able to provide the services that are needed in our community. And as I've been door knocking, I hear about city services, the trash cans, potholes, infrastructure. George Washington Elementary School is falling apart. Let's reallocate those funds and see what's important, but more than anything, let's hold our elected officials accountable how they're distributing that money, and let's make it fair to every ward, regardless of our zip code. Thank you.
Oscar?
When it comes to our budget, I think the first question we have to ask is who pays for it? It's us. And I think that's why it's really important that we have a participatory budget where we ask our community members, what do we want invested in? Is it public safety? Is it infrastructure? Is it public health? And really looking at what our priorities are the next 4 years. Alongside participatory budgeting, it's also zoning. How do we want to design our community together? And on top of this, it's looking at ways that we can have solutions to a lot of the impacts we're facing today. We have one of the lowest air qualities in the state of Illinois. We have some of the highest cases of respiratory issues and cancer. I'm looking at everybody right now, and I'm sure everyone can think about somebody who has asthma or somebody's cousin, family member. We're suffering here. So it's really adamant that we have a Department of Environment that can look into what's happening in our communities. And also looking at investing in proven approaches to safety, like treatment, not trauma, to ensure that our residents here are ensuring to have mental health services. Again, it is a crisis. Too many people during this pandemic have killed themselves, and we need to be adamant about this, that we need solutions, not yesterday, because we didn't just start suffering before this pandemic. No, during this pandemic, we suffered before this pandemic. And again, it's really ensuring that people know the breakdown of this budget. A lot of the solutions we always are saying is increased funding in certain departments. Right now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but 40% of our budget goes to police. 30%. 50% of our budget. And it's making sure, what are we doing to make sure that people, if we're saying that policing is our solution to this, We have to look down what is intentional and accountability to the funding that's going to all departments. And I'm saying all departments. And that's my answer.
What will you do as alderman, alderwoman, to mitigate the tax cliff with Indiana? What will you do as alderwoman or alderman to mitigate the tax cliff with Indiana? Peter.
So this is something I care very passionately about. As we sit right now, it is an unlevel playing field between us and Indiana. Let's get real. Hammond and Whiting were not like this 40, 50 years ago. Whiting is built up, and so is Hammond. Until we get everybody on board and they can see that we need help down here, things will always be the same. We can't stop at the municipal level. We can't stop at the county level. We need to take it all the way to Springfield to create a special tax district because we border Indiana. Things will always be like this until we have that. It is unlevel. Why do you think Walmart opened up a half a mile past the state line? Where's our money going? It's going to Walmart. They get to enjoy the best of both worlds, appealing to Northwest Indiana residents and appealing to 10th Ward. That don't make no sense to me. We live in one of the biggest cities in the world, and yet we go shopping and spend our money in Northwest Indiana. It should be the opposite way. Northwest Indiana should be coming to Chicago to spend their money and expand our tax base. That's what needs to happen. And furthermore, different programs like the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund that allows businesses to apply for a grant up to $250,000 in blighted communities to help resurrect their commercial corridor. Well, that needs to be opened up to the 10th Ward because we have difficulties and unique problems unlike any other ward. That needs to be opened up to the 10th Ward so all our business corridors can flourish and we could see resiliency again in each corridor. Thank you.
Yesenia.
So yeah, I mean, it's nothing new that we are fighting against Indiana and there's the tax issue there. But that is not the only reason why our business districts are not thriving. I mean, if you think about it, just realistically, our tacos are probably cheaper than the tacos in Indiana. But I see those businesses, and trust me, ours are probably better, but their businesses are packed. It has to do with the whole ambiance. And I think that when you have an inviting and ambiance, that's where you want to go. So you don't just go because of the cheap prices. You don't just go because taxes are cheaper there. You go for the whole package. And that's what we need to start building here in our community is the whole package. We need to start reaching out to developers that understand our area. Indiana has mom and pop shops just like we can have. It's those niche businesses that they have, and that's why we go there. As far as why the Whiting area is thriving, they also take big monies from their big companies over there. The big companies that are killing us just like they're killing them, but they take their monies and they say, hey, you're gonna help us build our business district. You're gonna kill us, you're gonna give us money. And I think that's when we need to start building, holding a lot of our industrial companies out here accountable, making sure that they're building into our business districts, but also understanding our area. And that's where I come in. I mean, Whiting area, why do you think they brought the Pierogi Fest? They didn't bring it just to sell pierogies. They brought it because they wanted to encourage people to buy properties there. And we know that over there, the real estate out there is ridiculous. It's amazing how fast those properties go. And so their plan worked. And it wasn't just to sell pierogies, they could have sold whatever. That's what we need to do. We need to start coming up with creative economic impact projects to be able to build our business districts, and that's what's going to help this issue with the tax problem next to Indiana.
Oscar.
So, on top of just the tax cliff, we have to be honest about why everybody goes to Whiting and Hammond, right? It's the opportunity there. You know, everybody talks about Festival of the Lakes, Pierogi Fest, and they just even had an Empanada Fest. Like, let's think about why people are going there. And it's on top of the gas prices, the food prices. Like, we have to really think about what people have there, and it's that economy. So let's think about how can we actually innovate our economy here as well. We have an amazing school. Our public high school, George Washington High School, has some of the highest performing students, has won state titles in sports, and their roof is falling apart. Think about what a fully funded school would do. Think about what fully funded resources and actually looking to support our local businesses and entrepreneurs. And that's what I'm thinking about when we fund our schools, but also fund the resources here, working with our chambers of commerce, working with the East Side, South Chicago SSA, working with the Hegewisch Business Association to have them be in lock right now about the Chicago Recovery Plan. And I'm gonna keep repeating myself about this. There is funding right now for us to be supporting our entrepreneurs. We know our entrepreneurs, we have the same thing when I talk about our health. I'm also talking about people having talent here, from artists to people working out of their houses. Let's get them into brick and mortars. Let's help them set up actual business plans to have self-sustaining economy here. We always talk about our power engines here. We talk about the steel mills, but that was a circular economy. And we can use right now the Climate Equities Job Act to bring good jobs here, union paying jobs, to make sure we can have a local thriving economy that can be determined to stay here in the 10th Ward, and people can make sure that they're making a livelihood here. So we are the opportunity.
Jessica.
So the first thing is we have to also educate our residents about the importance of shopping local. A lot of these mom and pop shops, I remember back in the 80s when we would walk down Commercial, 106th and Ewing, how vibrant it was. We supported each other. I grew up knowing a lot of these business owners, and many of them had to close, especially during the pandemic. But if we can continue to educate ourselves about the importance of shopping locally versus going down the street to Indiana, Walmart, well, yes, the prices are cheaper, the gas is cheaper, we have to find other ways to also support our businesses. I think additionally, we have to hold accountable the city of Chicago again. How do you provide more incentives to the only ward that borders the state of Indiana? So we are competing with a large tax reduction from that state with our businesses. Let's provide incentives to these small businesses so people can stay shopping locally, so the businesses can stay here versus closing. And I've heard of some of them moving to Indiana, where they're paying less rent. If we can provide these incentives to these businesses, we can keep them here. Just as we're incubating the businesses, we don't want them to leave our community. Continue to expand these programs. The Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, yes, it extends to 100th Street. And it's created to ensure that communities that are low income, underserved, receive these resources. It's important to expand those resources and ensure that you make the process be easier for these businesses, not-for-profits, to be able to apply and receive these funds, because the restrictions that they have make it difficult, and that entire grant process is very difficult. And I know that from personal experience as we have tried applying for that. We also, again, have to build these relationships with these departments to make sure that DCO, the Chicago Recovery, and all these other departments can provide more resources. But we have to help these small businesses be able to apply for these resources, because it's not easy applying for these grants or these funds. Thank you.
Anna.
So in order to work on that gap that we have between Indiana, one of the things that we want to understand is that we have some retail businesses here. What I'd like to get more of is some service businesses. I'm talking clinics, eye doctors, therapy, veterinarians. I don't even know where the nearest veterinarian is, and I know we have a lot of animal lovers here, by the way. Those kinds of services are also important to our community. They would assist in building our community, and when you have people coming for services, you have people coming and now purchasing at the retail stores. So that would help with those gaps that we have here in the community between here and Whiting. Now you have people coming here for all of these services, spending their money here in the 10th Ward. I think that's big and key to coming here. So I would be advocating and seeking out service industries to come here and add to our community that way.
Okay. Here comes the bucket. What is your voting history in the 10th Ward municipality elections? When was the last time you voted for alderman?
My turn, right?
Yesenia.
So I always vote. The last time I voted for alderman was the last aldermanic election, and the last time I voted was in November. So I believe that if you want to make changes, if you want to be part of the solution in your neighborhood or your area, if you want to complain about something, then you need to go out there, voice your opinion, and make sure that you're being counted, because guess what? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, and I believe that a lot of the reason why the 10th Ward gets forgotten is because our voting record is not competitive to other wards in the city of Chicago. So that's where you start making changes. Get out and vote.
I think we had Oscar.
Oscar? Okay.
I believe next
She
would
wanted
be
to be skipped.
Anna. Anna would be next.
I went first, so she'll be on.
Anna.
Okay. That's okay.
And then,
Hannah.
yes.
Thank you for bringing this up. Last week, I went to the Board of Elections to print out my voting record, given that my name was changed. I legally changed my name, and I changed it back to what I was after my divorce. I don't have I didn't bring the documents, but I have been a consistent voter to show you. And as Yesenia mentioned, it's very important that we do go out to vote. But before you vote, educate yourself. Look at what the people who are running for office, not just for aldermanic, but for the other races, look at what they have done. It's important that you choose the person that has experience, that has the knowledge, and the ability to get things done in office. So I encourage you, go out to vote, but more than anything, get others to vote. And if you're not able to vote, you have family members that can vote. Thank you.
I have Oscar.
So, I want to make a joke, but I didn't want to make a joke. Oh, well, I kept getting mailers during the primary. They called me a super voter, so I hope that counts for something. I'm pretty sure all of you got that too. So, the last time I voted was in November, and the last time I voted for an automatic election was in 2015. And yeah, that's my voting record. But besides that, I think I'm gonna echo what everybody's saying. It's like, it's really important for us to understand who we're voting for, but we also have to understand what are the actual ways that we create voting accessibility. Because sometimes it's very difficult for even our young generation to get involved. In this last vote, when it came to the February election, 40% of this ward aged under the age of 35, 40% of that vote came from people under the age of 35. So I think it's also how we're also reflecting that when it comes to newer generations. Like, how are we consistently making sure that our young voters are active now? Because this is their future. And I want you, every person who's watching this, especially if you're a young individual or any individual, it's like, how are you making sure that your voice is active right now, but also active throughout this? Because it's also about holding your local official accountable.
Jessica?
I've been voting since I can remember, since I've become able and eligible to vote. And I did vote in the last November, and I voted for the last aldermanic election. And I will just emphasize the importance of voting again.
Peter?
So I vote in every election, municipal, statewide. It's important to vote. Your vote is your voice. And we are all equal when it comes to the ballot box. We all have one vote. So it's extremely important to me. I take that seriously, and I will continue to vote in every single election.
How do we make our commercial areas safer? I'm sorry, can you hear me? How do we make our commercial areas safer? Anna?
Oh, sorry. I think it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. There's no reason we should have an open-air drug market on Commercial Avenue. We have to find ways of building trust with our police officers so when they are called, they can come and respond to the needs of the business owners or our constituents. As I mentioned earlier, there are 4 things I would love to see. Beat cop officers walking down the streets of Commercial, Ewing, Brandon, all communities, just like they did many years ago when I was growing up here. Ride your bikes if you wish. But more importantly, build relationships with the business owners and your community. That's extremely important for us to build trust and believe in our police officers just as they're doing their work. We have to, again, hire more detectives. When crimes happen, many 911 calls are made. Sometimes police officers are not there for whatever reason. Sometimes they're sent out of our ward. Let's make sure that we work with our mayor and our other elected officials to have the officers here when they're needed. Respond to emergency calls. Sometimes we have in our business corridors people residing or walking around who have mental health issues. If we had these mental health experts on call to be able to respond to these needs, then that would also alleviate the burden from the police officers. But again, it's about building trust and making sure that our police officers, particularly the ones who are in charge of the patrolling, the safety response groups that they have, to make sure that they're actually responding and doing their job with the support of the community. Thank you.
Oscar?
So when it comes to our area is not considered a high priority area for safety, specifically from the police department. That's orders. And I think that's wrong. I think that if the police district here finds that there's high level of crimes, it should be a decision on the police department to be able, the district specifically, the 4th district, to be able to hear operates. When it comes to our safety, we shouldn't be waiting hours for something to happen. And that just goes to show the way that police are overburdened right now. For me, it's about how can we create a solution today with the pressing amount of violence we're experiencing. Looking at introducing violence interceptors to make sure that we can less intensify the current gang relations that there are right now. On top of this, looking to really build out, even having escorts outside. And when I mean escorts, I mean let's have patrol systems that can go outside and let people go to the grocery store. And that's on top of another violence we're facing. Let's be very honest, not all our communities have grocery stores. And that's other violences that we've talked about when it comes to safety, when it comes to having actual access to resources. But before I draw away from the actual question, I want to also be bringing up, we need opportunities for youth. We need to have actual youth programming. If we are talking about youth as criminals, we also have to be thinking about what outlet are they having. I've been having so many conversations on the doors that youth are scared to stay after school, and that's why they want to immediately go home or they stay out. But if they don't have outlets, what actual opportunities are we doing? And if we believe that youth are our future, how are we investing in our youth?
Jessica.
So it's important to emphasize the importance of having more police available. We need to work on getting more police in our areas so that they can patrol the areas. I mean, they're doing the best they can out there, but we have a limited amount of police here in our neighborhood, and we need to request an increase in that budget to have more police presence. On top of that, many of the people that are sitting outside commercial, there's a mental health issue we are aware of. And there have been a lot of mental health facilities that have been closed down recently. We need to find ways to get more mental health facilities, more mental health for these people so that they're not sitting out there drinking, getting drunk, whatever they're doing out there, they're just there because they have mental issues and we need to help them. And that will help get them off the streets so that they're not out there committing crimes to feed their high. So those are two avenues that are important to dealing with the safety. So increasing the police, as I said before, and working on the mental health aspect of it.
Peter.
So being a police officer that works here, I do agree. Sometimes it does take a long time for the police to come. And you want to know why? We're down about 50 officers in the 4th District. That is unacceptable. Me, as alderman, I'm not going to be fighting for essentially more police. I'm fighting for the right amount of police we deserve. We are down 50 officers. Think about that. We need so much more here. And when it comes to the business districts, yes, Commercial Avenue, that's a problem. 83rd, 87th, 91st, that all needs to be dealt with. I'll tell you a quick story. When my first week after announcing, a lady reached out to me on Facebook and said, Mr. Chico, I live on Commercial. I'm afraid to take my son and daughter to McDonald's because of what I have to walk past. I'm scared. That doesn't make any sense. I can't even take my child for a cheeseburger at McDonald's because of what's on the sidewalk. That needs to be corrected. A business officer needs to be put in place to deal with every business district. Baltimore Avenue in Hegewisch, Ewing and 106th on the east side, Commercial obviously in South Chicago, and let's not forget about South Deering and their business corridor on Torrance Avenue. A business officer needs to be put in place to develop a relationship with the business owners and the people on the sidewalk so they see the same face every day, build a relationship, and we could remove them from the sidewalks, make it safer for people to finally come, use our business districts, spend their money, and enjoy it. The business districts are the lifeline of communities, and we need to get serious about that. So when it comes to funding, that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Yesenia.
As I mentioned earlier, I believe that when it comes to the safety, we need to figure out why are we being targeted? Why is Commercial Avenue being targeted? Why is 83rd Street, 91st Street being targeted? And that's where we need to figure out to solve this issue. And one of the reasons why I believe is our liquor stores. These liquor stores need to be held accountable. While I was in the Alderman Pope's office, I worked on a liquor moratorium that was put in place throughout the whole 10th Ward, where we didn't allow new liquor licenses to open up, mainly on Commercial Avenue. And that included the renewing of the selling of the licenses. And if you renewed your license, it was a strict process that you had to go through. That has gone out the window. And I think that we need to go back to that and understand why was this liquor moratorium, why is it not being held in place or prioritized, And that's going to help a lot of the issues that are taking place right now on Commercial Avenue. And going back to economic development, bring economic development and you're going to solve the safety issue. That's some of the things that is going to take time to work on, right? Let's talk about what can be done now. Going back to, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars going to South Chicago that are not going to South Chicago. The SSA area is paying extra taxes for the safety, for the beautification, for the cleaning of this area. Why are they not being used like they're supposed to? So let's start there. Let's look at where these misuse of funds is going and hold these people accountable. Make sure that these funds are going to what they need to be going to. There's funds for safety, for security officers. We used to have security officers on Commercial Avenue. What happened to that? Let's start there. Let's look at where these funds are going to now.
What is your plan to address all the Section 8 companies buying up the 10th Ward?
Can you repeat the question?
What is your plan to address all the Section 8 companies buying up the 10th Ward? Oscar.
So I think first of all, it's really looking at how we want this community being zoned. And that leads me back to saying we need participatory zoning. How do we want to be designing our communities? If there are groups buying land here that we don't want buying land here because we don't want that investment, the community should have a say. Now, we should also be honest about what problems we may face with Section 8, but also be honest about if we may have our own discrimination against Section 8. We have to be honest about if there are regulations we need to be following because we have worries of safety. We also are having conversations with that management company to ensure that there's an actual process of who's being brought here and intentional of who's being brought into certain areas in those Section 8 housing projects. Everybody deserves to have the right to housing. Everybody deserves to be able to call the 10th Ward their home.
Jessica.
So what we would need to do for Section 8, we need to evaluate what is the amount of Section 8 that they're allowing to be purchased here. So we definitely need to implement policies that limit the amount of Section 8 in a certain area, especially here in the 10th Ward. We'd have to definitely evaluate that. On top of that, even though they're here buying the Section 8 properties, what we really want to do is we want to hold the owners accountable for making sure that the people that they're renting to are following all the rules, following, guidelines in the neighborhood and doing their best. And if they have to, work on evicting someone, but they have to be held accountable to who they're renting to. So implementing a policy that limits and adds guidelines for these Section 8 owners is what I would do.
Peter?
One of the biggest shortages we have in the city is affordable housing. We are down 120,000 units when it comes to affordable housing. So Section 8 isn't going anywhere. We need to hold the tenants and the owners accountable for their actions, just like anybody else, just like me, my neighbor, Jessica over there. Hold them accountable. That's what it comes down to. There is no reason why they should be held to any less standard than anybody else. Thank you.
Ksenia.
So I think the first thing we need to understand is that there is no Section 8 homeowners. Like, that's not how it works. A property owner buys a building. If somebody comes in and they want to rent your property, if they're a Section 8 voucher holder, they don't have to release that information right away. So any property could be a Section 8 apartment. That's not the problem. The problem is that we need to start looking at these developers that are buying big chunks of property in your ward, and it starts in the aldermanic office. There should be nobody buying property or starting anything without going through that office, and not in a bad way, but just, again, guiding them the correct way. And this is where you're going to talk to the developer, have that communication with the homeowner, property owner, developer, whatever the case may be, build that relationship. And you, again, like Pete said right now, hold the tenants and the landlords accountable if there's a problem. It's not a matter of no more Section 8. That doesn't make sense. It's a matter of keeping the people that are Section 8 voucher holders accountable and keeping the landlords that have Section 8 tenants accountable. It goes both ways, and it goes back to, again, making sure that they're following the rules and regulation, calls are being made. If there's issues, calling CHA, and understanding that this is different than a scattered site. A scattered site is totally different. So again, very familiar with the process. When I was in the aldermanic office, we sat down with a lot of property owners before they purchased their buildings and addressed this. And when they became slumlords, we made sure to go after them. That's what you need to do.
Anna.
This is definitely an issue of affordable housing. You know, it's important for us to encourage people who have the ability to be able to afford homes, but it's also important for them to understand the process, receive the support, and for us to understand that they have the financial means to even purchase a property. I know that right now the city of Chicago is allowing people to purchase properties like we did with the community center for $1. If we can make these connections with the county land bank, with the city of Chicago land bank, and find other opportunities for people to be able to afford these properties, then that would also help with many of these issues that we have. But it also comes to jobs, not having the living wages where people can purchase these properties in our community. And I would love to do some research to see who are these developers coming to a community, why are they purchasing the properties, and how do we encourage our own 10th Ward constituents to be able to get to the point where they can also purchase these properties versus outsiders. Thank you.
Economic development on the southeast side. What is your elevator pitch to developers and large employers?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, one more time. It's the echo in here. Can't hear it.
Yes, the echo.
Sure. Economic development on the southeast side. What is your elevator pitch to developers and large employers? Jessica. What is your elevator pitch?
Well, so we're looking for large economic developers. We actually do have some people that have been trying to come to our ward, and really we have a great many residents here. We have a great, as they said, we have the largest ward in the city. So we are here. What I would pitch is that we have great land. Well, we have plenty of land, and there's, you know, there are businesses trying to come. For instance, there's the Invert trying to come and build under the ground. And even though there's land here that is polluted, the fact that they can go underground and start building there, those are options. And I believe that there's a large opportunity for growth in this community because of the amount of land that we have. We have so much land, and land is big when you're looking at growth. So I would be selling the amount of land that we have and the opportunity and possibilities for those lands.
We understand it's difficult to bring jobs and companies here, but I guess my selling point would be our location. We have access to major roadways, railways, the water. If that isn't a selling point to prospective businesses, I don't know what is. When you look at this initiative, Reshoring America, it's about bringing offshore companies back to the shores. Why don't we show that the 10th Ward could be the model for that? With all we have here, the land we have here, and the ability to connect with other parts of the world, we should show that we could be a model for that, shoring up America, bringing our jobs back here instead of having them offshore. So that would be my first direct pitch to any prospective business trying to come in.
Yesenia.
Our 10th Ward is so full of opportunities. We have so much land out here, perfect for a CineSpace. Why don't we have the next CineSpace in our area? We have so much talent in our community. So the ports that is accessible, and companies, industrial companies, and companies all over the world take advantage of. Those are the benefits that we have here. We are next to Indiana, which also has two different neighborhood communities that can actually help us. If we figure out our economic development niche here in our area, we can work together. We don't have to be in competition with them. It can actually benefit us just being next to Indiana. The transportation could be better, but we have Lakeshore Drive, which is very accessible for a lot of businesses. So I believe that our ward is full of opportunity. We have 5 TIFs in our area, so there's opportunities for SPIF, which is the Small Business Improvement Funds, as well as tax increment finance funds. Great for startups. And in South Chicago, we have the SSA that will help as well as starting up a business, beautifying your business, and getting it started. So I think that our area is full of opportunity. It's a matter of bringing the economic developers that see the vision in our ward.
Anna.
We are the largest ward in the city of Chicago. Again, we have land, water, and rail. It's important for us to be able to work with these developers who are interested in coming to a ward, but to make sure that these are companies that are not going to hurt us, affect our water and our air. I support developers or companies that believe in worker rights, pay good living wages, preferably larger development to be union jobs, to agree to community benefits agreements, and also with public labor agreements. We also need the support from our small businesses. It's great to bring the big developers, but how can they also invest locally with our small mom and pop shops? Maybe working with the businesses as they lift up their business, that they also work lifting up the rest of the businesses. Thank you.
Am I still allowed to go, or?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oscar.
Yes. Oscar, I'm so sorry.
Perfect. So I'll talk about it the way I talk to my friends about it. Come to the 10th Ward. A beautiful place that is the midst right now of a transformation available to us. Right now, when we think of our most powerful assets, and that's why I want to just say again, it's really important for us to have a say when it comes to the redistricting that happens every 10 years, because it can also take away our assets. But going back to this point, we have this lake in front. We have available space. We have the funding right now to create a circular economy. Why don't you join us? Join our community full of different unions. Create these partnerships with us to be able to create a 10th Ward where you would want to even come live in. The point of the 10th Ward is an area that may have lost its economic engine, but right now, in this time, where there is available funding for us to have one of the greatest models of how to help underinvested, under-resourced communities, and we can be a staple to be used across this beautiful city. So join us.
Crime, how will you get it under control? Oh, okay, that's fine. Do you believe that top commanders and deputies be rehired at six-figure jobs?
Do we what? Sorry, what?
Do you believe that top commanders and deputies be rehired at six-figure jobs? Like police question? Jessica? Yeah.
I think it's yours. I have no idea. Whose turn is it? Who went first last time?
Oscar was last. Jessica?
I reversed. Perfect. I know everybody's excited. No, but my name's Oscar, and for me, it's about when we're talking about rehiring, I think it's about the context, about, I think, wanting more information from this, wanting to know if rehire means that someone must have been disciplined and been fired, and wanting to know how we actually hold someone accountable. If that's the context, then I don't think somebody should be rehired for higher paying positions. However, again, I think I need more information to be able to make a decision. If the question is, should top commanders and sergeants be rehired for six-figure jobs?
Jessica? Do you believe that top commanders and deputies be rehired at six-figure jobs?
I see. And that's by the okay, yes. Sorry about that. I was trying to hear the question properly. I believe that's a tough one. I'd say I don't think that it's in the budget for them to make six-figure. I'd have to see the actual numbers and evaluate, but it's something to definitely assess. They are at a retirement stage now, and I understand that they have expertise that needs to be considered, but it's something that could be reevaluated.
Peter?
I don't know how often this actually happens, but I would not be in favor of that. I think six figures is a big amount of money for somebody who just retired. Like Jessica said, they do have expertise, but I think we need to find new ideas and new blood to put in those roles. So I think that's a bit much.
Yesenia?
So, like Jessica said, I think that I would like to look at the numbers. That position does deserve to get paid well. I think that if we're questioning how much a commander is getting paid, we should also question how much executive directors in not-for-profit organizations in South Chicago are getting paid, because it's well over close to $140,000 to $170,000 a year. So I believe that there's no reason why an executive director should be making $140,000 a year when our business districts look like they do.
May I ask that personal conversation be held until after this event? Please be respectful to our candidates. Anna?
I would also like more information regarding the pay scale for police officers. It's important for us to have an understanding of where the money's being laid out. However, we are a working class community. We have been for many years. It's also important for us to look at how we lift up the wages of our workers here in the 10th Ward. When I co-founded Centro de Trabajadores Unidos United Workers Center in 2007, after Jay's Potato Chip Company went bankrupt, myself and several other Jay's workers decided to form this organization so we can work to ensure that worker rights are lifted. Workers were getting paid $3 the hour. We're being exploited by their employers. So it's important for us to also look at, yes, we increased the minimum wage to $15. That's still not a livable wage. How do we increase the minimum wage as the food prices continue to increase? So let's continue to see how we can ensure that it's not just these top officials who are receiving high-paying jobs, but also our working-class families are able to sustain their families and have food on the table. Thank you.
I'm going to have one last question, but prior to that, I wanted to remind everyone here that there are tables that the candidates have set up with various papers and information, and also I believe they'll be available after this debate. Next question, do you have a stance on the invert? I'm sorry, this is the last question. Jessica.
So I actually went out. I actually came here as well when they had the open house for the inverts. I'm actually pretty excited for the idea of the inverts. So that would be my general stance. But I do know that there are various concerns regarding the environmental aspect of it. Based on the information that I have seen with the invert, it looks like a wonderful plan for our community. If you guys know about the Pedway downtown, if you guys go, you take the metro, get off on Randolph, go to that Pedway there. That's the idea. They want to have an underground, nice little retail stores down. They will have other storage facilities down there. They will have parking right next to each store, as I understand it. I think it's a great thing for our community. I believe it'll bring jobs here, which we do need here in our community. It would also help if you have people working in the community, from the community here, working there, that'll be great. If you have people traveling here to work there, now you're bringing people here to come to the restaurants here in our neighborhood. So I think there's a lot of good for it. My understanding is that they've gotten a lot of community feedback and that there's been a lot of changes to the plans based on the community input. And I think that's a great thing that they are considering the community input. So I do think that it could be a great thing. I'm sure there's a lot more to be evaluated throughout the process, but I do think it could be great for our community.
Peter.
So when it comes to the invert, I've been pretty impressed with the community outreach. I've sat on a one-on-one presentation. I came here at St. Francis de Sales. I've gone to their office, so I really vetted what they're trying to do. They have a labor union agreement that's going to provide union jobs to workers here in the 10th Ward. We're always arguing about having jobs here. Well, this is going to do it over a 13-year period. When it comes to what they're going to provide, opportunities for retail, corporate, entertainment. When I met with them one-on-one, they were talking about the idea of a movie theater down there. Think about that, a movie theater in the 10th Ward. And what they're going to do for the community, a soccer field on top of it. We have some of the best soccer talent in the entire state, and we have nowhere for these kids to play. When we talk about crime prevention and getting our kids off the street, we need more soccer fields. The invert would do just that. I think it's a great opportunity. When the mill's closed, as everybody knows, our community's failed. And this has an opportunity to rejuvenate the southeast side, bring jobs here, and give a little life to the 10th Ward.
Yes, Senia.
I too have sat through many of the presentations of the invert, talked one-on-one with the team, and I believe that they're a good example of a developer that's involved with the community and is taking the information and the suggestions of the community, being proactive. They're out in different areas. I see them everywhere trying to spread awareness of what they're trying to bring to our area. Obviously, I know that there are concerns, environmental concerns, and I would definitely want to look into more of that, but from what I see, I'm very supportive of what they're looking to bring. I think it's innovative, and I think that it's going to be a great asset to the 10th Ward. And again, it's a creative economic development plan that's going to make impact here in our area, which is what we need.
Anna.
As I mentioned before, I'm definitely in support of good development. We do have the land and the space for this development in our community. I do believe we need to be further informed and address these concerns that our residents are bringing up regarding environmental issues as well as other concerns. It's important that any development that comes to the 10th Ward provides good paying jobs, in particular union jobs, that have a community benefits agreement and a project labor agreement. But it's also important for us to continue to educate ourselves, and I expect that any development that comes to the 10th Ward is willing to work with our residents and not be scared to address the concerns that are important for us, in particular the environmental issues that affect us as we live here. Thank you.
Oscar.
So when it comes to Invert, as everyone's mentioned, I think what we all appreciate is that they're taking feedback and there's community input that's being drawn from the community, which has, and let's be very honest, hasn't been done before unless it's been forced by the city in like past experiences. So I think we can applaud that, and that's really something that's needed with any type of development to really see what the community wants, right? If something's going to be impacting our lives, we should have a say in what happens. Now, the feedback that's been received is that, you know, they want to be building out solar farms, they want to be building out soccer fields and community gardens. That feedback to me is that our community wants community ownership, that people want ownership of the projects coming here, that where are ways that we can find funding for our community members to be the only stakeholders in this, to actually create community wealth and generational wealth to be passed down as we go into a just transition and really trying to look at what the future is bringing right now with the funding available. And three, I think one of the concerns I do have that it hasn't been brought up is that this development is next to our lake. If you are drilling or using explosives near our lake, what are the concerns that you're going to cave in our lake and remove our water basin and actually remove our economic engine of all the industries alongside the river? That's something highly concerning, not only for our public health, but also for our economic health that we have. So it's about making sure any development actually looks at what the repercussions of damaging our community can be.
Okay, we're going to close it up now. We're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to make a closing statement. We'll go the same way we did in the beginning. I would ask that everybody remain seated till we're done. And then after we are finished, well, first let me get some thank yous out there because I know you're getting itchy. So Brenda Kubas was our manager. Thank you very much, Brenda. Great job tonight. I heard some rumblings in the audience about some of the questions that were asked, just to let you know. And you know, it came from the audience. Didn't come from anybody else, came from the audience. So we're going to close it up. When we're done, the candidates will be here until 8 o'clock. You can mingle around and talk to them. So, again, thanks for coming out on tonight, with it being such a crappy night, but thanks for coming out. So we'll start with the closing statements. Anna.
Thank you. Again, thank you, the Eastside Chamber of Commerce, the Hegewisch Business Association, St. Francis de Sales, and others who put this first forum together. As a mother and constituent that was raised in the Bush community, raised in South Chicago, East Side, and currently live in Betts Park, it's important for me, as alderwoman, if elected, to ensure that I listen to our constituents' needs and that I work together. It's also important for us as a community, or as various communities in the 10th Ward, to be able to come together and unite. As I'm door knocking, I hear many things. I see the division amongst our communities. It's important for us to find ways of working with each other and supporting each other as a community, as it was back in the 80s when I was growing up here, where we knew each other, we knew our family members. We were not afraid to talk to our neighbors. So I envision a community in the 10th Ward that we can work with each other, support our businesses, solve issues of public safety, but collectively build relationships and unite as one so we can be able to push for what we need in City Council, because we're not able to do it alone. We need the support of our community. And one thing that I can guarantee as an organizer is to make sure that I hear from our constituents, and then when it comes to certain issue areas that we have to advocate in City Hall, that we bring the people who are impacted by the issues in the table, negotiating and having those conversations with the powers to be, so they are heard and we're able to implement what's important for our community. Thank you again.
Thank you, Anna. Jessica?
So I want to thank everyone again. Thank Eastside Chamber of Commerce, Hegewisch Business Association, St. Francis de Sales for hosting us here and putting this together for us. Thank you everyone here who has come out to take the time to come and hear from us. As a police officer, I understand what's important to work on for the safety, not just as the aspect of addressing criminals, but addressing the root cause of the crime. So that's why I find it important to bring these programs to our community for the youth. As an attorney, I have an understanding of how to navigate the system so that I can advocate for the resources for our community here in the 10th Ward that we need. As a mother of 4 raising my children here with my husband in the 10th Ward, I am committed, and I grew up here myself. I'm committed to the 10th Ward and committed to improving it and making it a thriving community once again. And as and I just been August 2023, guys, and I want to make sure that I'm open to, sorry about that, I want to make sure that I'm open to hearing from everyone who has concerns, because while I have visions for the 10th Ward, I know that everybody else has their own visions, and I would want to hear from everybody to hear how I can help and how I can address any concerns from the residents of the 10th Ward. So thank you again for your time. Thank you again for having us and listening to us. And I will definitely be here afterwards. And thank you again.
Thanks, Jessica. Oscar?
Oscar Sanchez here, and again, thankful for everyone. Thank you for the organizers of the event, from the Eastside Chambers of Commerce to the Hegewisch Business Association to St. Francis. And I want to thank all of you for being here today, because the question I want to also ask is, what is the future of the Southeast Side going to be? And I really want it to come from our community being involved in these decisions that impact our lives. And it's really about thinking about innovative ways and thinking of what we can actually come with together. For me, the most important part when we talk about the future is being ahead of it, being able to address it in innovative ways to really address the safety, really address the economic justice that we need here, the ways that we need to make sure that we should all feel safe, that our families can go outside to play with their kids, to be able to raise our families, making sure they have an actually fully funded education, thinking about ensuring that our seniors and our members of disabilities aren't forgotten when it comes to constituent services. And something I want to remind us is that in a lot of these questions, we're asking for basic rights. We're asking for the minimum to just survive. And I truly believe that we deserve a thriving community. And we can do this right now with a plan for us to know what our priorities are for the next 4 years and work together. But it's because it's not going to just take one of us. It's going to take all of us to make sure the 10th Ward is for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. Pete?
So I love the 10th Ward. I love being here. I work here. I volunteer here. When it came time to buy a house, I bought a house here. I love it. My family is rooted here. My grandfather, such a big presence here, president of Local 65 of U.S. Steel in the 1970s. There is no other place I'd rather be than right here in the 10th Ward. I love it. My dad went to school right here in this building at St. Francis de Sales. There is no other place in the world I would rather work, rather be, and be your next alderman here. So when it comes to what I want to do here, I know most of us have a lot of friends that decided to move out. My sister moved out. My parents moved out. Shame on them. But some of the best times of my life were here. And I want those moments created for the next generation, to have some of the best times of their life here. And as your alderman, that's exactly what I plan on doing.
Yesenia?
You know, my family moved out to the east side when I was 9 years old due to a safety situation that I went through as a child. And we moved out here for the safetiness that we found here. The east side community was a beautiful community, and we felt safe here. That's what I want my children to feel like growing up. I have been here since I was a little girl. I was introduced to community engagement and civic duty in 2001 when I was elected Queen of the Mexican Patriotic Club, which is fun fact. But since then, I have dedicated my time to the community. I haven't gone anywhere. Even after 2015, when John Pope was not reelected, I went to work with the South Chicago Chamber of Commerce. I continue to work with chambers all over the city of Chicago. I was part of the LISC Business District Initiative, where it was leaders all around the city of Chicago bringing economic development. So what do I offer to the table? Experience. I'm ready to work day one. I have experience in economic development. I was part of the Lakeshore Drive extension. I saw it from the beginning to end. That was one of the last projects that I got to see to fruition, and it was amazing to be part of that. Part of being bringing the Sedlowski School. I was part of that. The overpass on 130th Street, I was part of that. I know the process from beginning to end. That's what I offer, is experience. That's what we need. Someone that's ready to work day one. With my extensive experience in economic development and my use of social media, I know that we will get the funding, the attention that this 10th ward needs. We're tired of being forgotten. It's done with. We need to be heard, and I'm ready to do the work.
Thank you, Senya. I got just a couple more announcements. So if you guys aren't doing nothing, March 4th is a big day here at St. Francis. We got the alumni raffle on March 4th. If you don't buy a ticket and you just want to get drunk pretty cheap, come here, $25, all the food, all the booze you can have, but always support St. Francis. They're on the comeback. Ronnie Fason's doing a great job. I want to introduce I want to thank one other person too that I forgot, John Sandoval, for being our timekeeper tonight. Thanks, John, appreciate it. And I want to introduce Jason Highland so everybody gets a visual. Jason Highland's the president of the Hegewisch Business Association. I'd like to thank him, his crew, everybody on his crew except Bob Wise, I want to thank, just to let you know. So thanks for coming out tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to do another one. Stay tuned. Thank you. Good night. Candidates will be here.